Hello my friends, John LaRuffa here with another Straight Up Solo, and in this episode we are going to take a look at Inventions evolution of ideas, pardon me. Alright, this is a new game from Vital Lacerda. It is a highly complex, highly tactical, pretty heavy game. I'm going to show you what it's like when we play it solo, and I'm going to go through a couple of turns so you can see what the situation is, and then I will let you know what I think. Alright, let's get started. Okay, folks, and as usual, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. And if you have, I really do appreciate that support. Thank you so very much. Okay, and as usual, these Vital games are nice and large on the board, and this one's no exception, or on the table, I should say. Sprawling game board, lots of components, some stuff I can't even display, like these different progress tiles, because there's just so much stuff out here. But there are 7 different types in 3 of the different disciplines that you can see here. And yeah, so what's going on? Well, let me explain to you what you see first. Let me get this shadow out of the way too for this box. All right, so what you've got going on is you've got a map of the world here, of these regions, and each of these regions has like this little node out here that represents what's going on in there. You have these cards that when they're flipped over to this side and they show this red, these are ideas that have been presented. When they are invented, they're flipped over and they show their invention side. And when they're improved upon or innovated on, you'll actually have a guy over here, but it cannot be the same thing. You cannot invent and innovate your idea. It has to be different, okay? And when you do all those different steps, those are main core functions of the game. And then finally, you're going to share the idea, which is a different action, which allows you kind of to take everything that's part of this and get some points, some benefits, and then to push your different advisors into these regions for some potential majority stuff, and also to move around and do a whole bunch of other things, a whole slew of other things, okay? So that's what you have going on over here. You also have the influence track, and influence is important in this game because that determines how many chain actions you can do. And this game is really, really core in these chain actions. They're not executive actions. They are full main actions again. So when you chain actions together, you're like getting extra bonus turns, okay? With literally like no strings attached, so to speak. So I'll explain how that works in a second. Then you have this area right here, which is your action selection area. And it's broken up into these 5 forums, okay? And in each forum, if you take the right action, you can't take the left. If you take the left, you can't take the right. You can go in areas, so basically you are self-blocking with like a worker placement, and you have 3 workers, 1 that will stay on the board and then 2 that come off at the end of the eras. You can go on places where other people are, but then in the solo, you're going to give that solo opponent 2 points. And if they go on yours, then you get some influence, which is really good. And then finally over here, you have these milestones. And these milestones represent knowledge of things that happened beforehand. And you have like the emerging or current milestones over here. And then you have these common ones. And basically what it is if you have yours in these spots like this, this is a knowledge that you and only you have, unless someone or you send a diplomat, one of your advisors, to that spot to also get that common, or that milestone. And that milestone is required for these inventions. So for instance, if I want to build silk, I have to know what cotton is and understand cotton first, which means I have to be, in this case, it's all common knowledge. So I have that now because it's in this row. And then when it moves off the board, it remains in common knowledge. So it's like all known, okay? But let's take a look at another one over here. Let's see. So this one right here that says mathematics, all right? Well, mathematics is also common. But basically, if there was one out there that I didn't have, I'd have to find a way to get that for myself if I want to do the actual inventing portion. You can present an idea without having that common knowledge. That's not necessary. But you have, in order to invent it, you actually have to have this requirement, which is why it shows it in red right there. Okay. And then on the top here, you have this basically turn track, which tells you what the turns are, what the rounds are, who's going first, etc., and all that other good stuff. This game is played in basically 6 rounds. The first round only has one action, and then you have 2, 3, 4, and 5, which have 3 actions apiece. And then the sixth era is just the scoring round, okay? The last thing I want to show you is your player board. So you have this player board over here that represents your advisors in 3 different disciplines, and then like a wild discipline. And these guys are wild until they get committed to one invention or another, and then they're committed that way. You have some influence tokens, which has to do with some scoring in regions and a whole bunch of other linkage stuff that you're going to do, or I should say, not linkage, but chain actions that you're going to do, and a whole bunch of other jazz. And then you have these areas down here where you have prestige tokens here, not prestige, progress tokens here, or wealth tokens. And those get built into this little board. And as you cover things up, you get bonuses. But if you touch different things, then it's more expensive to build them, and it requires influence. And there's a whole convoluted thing in there, which is a little confusing to start. Makes a little more sense as you play it through. And then finally, you have these personal goals over here. You have 4 of them if you have the not the expansion, but what is this thing? The upgrade pack. You get 4 goals, and you use the best 2 out of 4, and you don't use the other ones. And then the solo bot has their own board over here, and the solo bot has 2 people to control. It has the Chronos, which is a very simple, it goes to the next space and tries to do the next thing it can do, mechanic. And then you have a more full-fledged bot, which can take all the actions, which is the Festus. And he goes to the next space and tries to do a specific action based on the cards that you have going on here. The game also comes with a very handy and helpful player aid right here, which details the steps of each of the actions that you can take, which is very good and is pretty complete. From this, you really can jog your memory to play the whole game from your standpoint. I wish a very similar thing was condensed into the solo rules. Right now, you have to go here and you have to read the solo rules, and they're just a little bit different enough where you have to read them until you memorize them. And that's a little bit of a hassle because they do things slightly different than you would normally do. But I'm coming around, it's starting to click and it's starting to make sense, and I'm starting to have to refer to that less and less. Okay, so let me go ahead and give you an idea of some of these, what this is like, okay? So the turn order right now as it's set up is the Chronos bot, who's the simplified bot, myself, and then the Hephaestus, which is the full bot, okay? So he's gonna take his first action. We are in round 1 of the 3rd era, okay? And he's gonna take the first action, and what he's gonna do is he's gonna move his guy in numeric order around this board, like so, and he's gonna go here, and he's gonna do the first thing he can do. So the first thing he can do is, well, this has already been invented, and he would like to share that idea. However, he has none of his guys there to share it. He doesn't know anything about it, so he can't really share it. So what he will do instead is he will innovate on it. And when he innovates, he puts a guy over here. And as far as I remember the rules, he puts a guy over here. And let me just make sure. Chronos, innovate. So as usual, place a citizen in the supply in the innovate space. Oh, that's all he does. He just puts it in the innovate space. Yes. And that's it. So he doesn't actually do anything else, just places it in the innovate space, which is a little bit different than what you would do. Okay, so his turn's over. Simple. Now it's down to me. Well, I have to put out one of my columns into this area to select a forum or an action to take. All right, and now it's the biggest, I mean, it's kind of mind-numbing, like, oh my gosh, what the heck do I do? You know, how, and this game is, you just have to play it and experience it and play it and experience it and play it and experience it to start to get an idea of like, okay, this is what I should be going for. They do give you a whole thing of tips. Where the heck is that? Is that in the play area? Oh, how do I do this? How do I do that? Which is very helpful. I'm glad they give you this because this kind of helps you understand, well, how do I accomplish all that I want to accomplish in this game of tons of choices? So what I'd like to do is I would like to share an idea, okay? And I can do that because I don't have any of my stuff over here. And the reason I want to share is because I want to free up some of these spaces so that I can start proposing ideas as well. So in order to do that, I'm going to take the share idea action over here. And the first thing I would do is if whoever proposed it would score 1 or 2 times the number of people here that were present. Well, in this case, this is one of the starter ideas and nobody proposed this, so nothing happens there. Then the inventor will go over here and you double up, okay? No, sorry, that's what you do that's what I'm gonna do. So the inventor goes over here and the Chronos bot is actually just going to take this invention and it counts as his own, okay? And then he goes to the map. Then the innovator, like me, gets a new citizen and both go to the map. So basically what I do is I can help myself get a better presence, a better foothold in region number 1 because I was the innovator. And then finally, because I took the action, I get to take one of these bonus tiles over here, these wealth tiles. And when I place it over here, that is my 4th tile, which means I do not have to pay any influence to play one of these tiles or 2 of these tiles down into this area. I'm able to actually play a number of tiles -1 equal to the era that I'm in. I'm in area 3, so I can actually play 2 of these. Now, I'm going to demonstrate what I'm going to do. I really wanted to play this for a while, okay? So in order to play this, I would have to pay 1 advisor and like lay him down and exhaust him for just playing this tile, minus the number of cultural inventions I've done. So I can play this tile for free as long as I'm not touching another tile. If I'm touching another tile, I have to pay an additional advisor for every tile I'm touching. So that means I cannot put him over here. However, I'm a little shy on these guys, so I am going to put them right here, and I get to pay nothing because of that 1 idea discount or 1 invention discount, and I get to add an advisor right to that spot. So I'm happy about that, okay? Then I can play another one of these ideas. Same deal, same situation. I'm going to play, now if I play this wealth, I have to spend 2 guys, okay? And these wealth ones are really good because these are scoring. So it's important to put them down in order to score well in this game. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to put it here. And normally that'd be a problem, right? Because this actually costs 2 to put down, 2 to exhaust, and then 2 more because of these right here. But because I've got this spot over here, I can do this by saving 2. So it'll only cost me 2. And then what I'm going to do here is I can use any of the guys I want, and I'm actually going to exhaust him, and I'm going to exhaust him. Okay, so that's how I pay for my 2, 1, 2. All right, and if I did that right, which I'm pretty darn sure I did, everything is legitimate there, and we should be good to go. But let me just take a quick look because it's a wealth tile. It doesn't double up. I don't think it does. I want to be very certain because I don't want everybody to freak out and have to correct me and everything else, and well, it happens all the time. I'd rather be honest or be clear with what's going on. Yeah, wealth tile is 2, 1 for each, 1 specialist for a previously placed adjacent tile, and you can mix any types too, which is good. Okay, I did that all right. All right, now I move these down here, and so the deal is now, if I was going to do that in the next turn, I had to pay 2 influence to begin that whole process. So that was why it was good to do it. I maximized my building and I got some stuff out of there at that point. Okay, wow, lots of stuff to consider. And I didn't even do any chain actions for pity's sake because that action didn't call for any chains. Okay, but I am finished with that turn. Now we go to the bot. The bot is going to draw a card. His slot says he wants to do the travel action. However, he doesn't have anybody to travel with. So since he doesn't have any advisors out here on the board, that's not going to happen. So he's going to go to the next one, which is going to be the call specialist. However, again, he doesn't have anybody out here, so he cannot call the specialist. So he's going to move to share. So can he do the share action? Yes, he can. He can go over here. He can do the share action. And because I'm in this forum, I get an influence, which I'm very happy about. It's hard to come by those. Okay, so now he's going to share. What's he going to do? Well, he's going to move to a spot where he's present that he can share. And he's going to go around in order. So 4, 5, boom. He's right there. He can share over there. So he's going to do the exact same thing I just did. He's going to share that idea. It's going to go over here. This guy's going to come here. We're going to add an additional one like that. He gets the invention. And he also gets the wealth tile that's over there, which he's going to score at the end of the game. All right, now, because there was no chain action next to him, his turn is done. We have completed one round. We move to the next one. And basically, that's what you're going to do. You're going to do that 3 times. And on the third round, you're actually going to have to take your epoch column, or epic, and you're going to have to move that to a spot that does not contain any of your other ones. Okay, so it gets a little clogged on here. Now, let me explain just a couple more things about, let me see if I can actually do this action, because maybe I'll just do it versus explaining it. What I want to show is a whole different mechanic, which is this one, okay? So let's do that. Well, we'll do another round here real quick. So Kronos is going to move to the next number, which is 6. He's going to do the next thing he can do. In this case, the next thing is to invent. He puts a guy over here, and he will take the 6th technology tile if he hasn't already done so. He has, so he takes the 7th if he hasn't already done so. He has, he takes the 1st, he's done that, so he gets the 2nd. So there's a little bit of the weirdness there from that standpoint of the rules. Okay, so he's invented, and this flips over, revealing a potential chain action if we were to do the innovation side of it. Okay, so now it comes to me. And like I said, I want to place one of these influence tiles. So I'm going to put this over here. Now, in order to do that, I have to do a bunch of different things that are completely unique. So first of all, I've got to go to a place where I have the most guys. However, I have a special tile over here that says no matter where I go, I have the most guys. So that's good. And then I would have to remove people equal to the number on the board, 2, 3, 4, or 5 from the region, and put them into the spot over here where which matches the invention. If there is no invention to match, it's this one, okay? Now, in this case, I have 2 of them, but I also have a -1 discount that I got earlier. So I actually have to remove 1, which is good. That's all I want to remove. He goes to home, and then I can put this one out in play on this spot right here, all right? And when I do that, let's see. So first, what do I get? I just want to make sure I get it right. Flip this over. Yeah, gain IP and influence. So I gain IP, which would be the 6 that I just put down there, which is really good. That's why I really want to do it. And then how do I calculate influence? So influence is, let me just read this part, because I did make this mistake in the first couple of games I played. I forgot to gain the influence here, which is really important. Place the chosen influence token in the leftmost spot, gain the IP, gain influence equal to the number of face-up influence tokens you have on the board. Okay, I do remember doing that. Just didn't happen very often. So I get 2 influence. Woohoo! That's really good. Because now I can use 2 chain actions instead of 1 at the start of the turn if I can keep myself in that band. And then it says, you may perform the chain action from any of your face-up influence tokens on the map. If you do, you have to flip it down. So here's a deal where I am going to chain. I'm going to chain to get this +1 influence. So I put this influence or this chain out there. I flip it down so I can't use that again, but it does give me a +1 influence. Now, nothing else. I don't get anything else with that. I don't get any other rewards or whatever. It just all happens to, that's it. So that's my end of my turn. So I'm going to move this back here, and I'm going to put it back there. And then my turn's done. Now let's see what he does. He wants to share ideas again. Well, he can't do that because he's already shared ideas, and he can't take a space he's already at. So then he's going to travel. Okay, so he does have a guy here. He can travel now. So he's going to go to the travel spot, and he also will do a chain action, which I'll demonstrate here in a second. So when he travels, we're going to move him to the next space, region with a sage, place a citizen from his supply, and move the sage. So the next place is going to be spot number 6. He takes a citizen from supply, he places it, he takes the sage, he gains a progress token equally matching the idea in the region or the rightmost technology card. You know what I realized when I pulled? Yeah, no, I did that right. Never mind. Okay, we just happened. So now he is going to get a 6 technology, or a 6, whatever this one is, engineering. All right, and then we're going to do the, let's see. Oh, yeah, so still has a chain action, and the knowledge is, he flips it over, attempts the next action, and draws that. So he's going to basically flip this over to this 2 side, and then he is going to do the chain action by putting his token here, and he's going to chain. And he's going to chain into a Eureka action. So this demonstrates a whole other action, you can see. And when he does the Eureka action, he sends his milestone to the common display and takes the rightmost one. So he's going to take this coppersmithing over here. He's going to bump this one out. These all come down. And copper smelting, pardon me, goes over. Then he's going to take the paper one. He's going to put a guy on paper. And then he's going to move to the front space of this era D over here. Okay? Did I get everything there? Ignore the gains IP equal to the area of the milestone and then adds a citizen. So he's going to gain 4 points for that maneuver right there. So we're going to move him up 4. And both he and Kronos share the same victory point token. So when one of them gains, they both move that same thing. Okay, and then that is the end for his action, and we are done. And that is how you kind of get further in this common era thing. So why does that matter? Or I should say, ahead of the times. It matters because if I want to get ahead on paper, and I'm not in era D, I have to pay him 2 points, okay? If he wants to get ahead on my stuff, and he's not in my era, he has to give me an influence. However, I noticed something a little funny. This definitely depends, I think, a little bit on how you pick your colors, because there's one action here when you send diplomat, he's going to go to the first milestone without any of his diplomats counterclockwise from his private milestone, which means in this direction. Well, that means if you pick him as orange like I do, he's always going to go to this common one. So you'd be more advantageous to make him the purple player if you're blue, so that you pick yours and you would get potentially a bonus there. I just saw that. But anyway, so his turn is finished, and now we would move to this final round. Now, in the final round, it will go the exact same way, except instead of placing a pillar, we are going to move our main pillars to another spot, okay? And then after we do that, we do this era, basically this era change. And the era change, it's sort of like a little bit like an intermission round, so to speak. You kind of reset some things. You do a few different things. You like move these tiles a bit. You replace some ideas. You basically get everything ready for the next set of rounds. All right, and I'm not going to go through that because this video is getting pretty long. But I think you get an idea of the way the game flows. And then I'll tell you, I've demonstrated, let's see, so I demonstrated the share idea, the invention, I believe we did the innovation, we did the influence, we did the travel, we did the Eureka, so you've seen most everything. The only actions you didn't see is where we take a guy off from an area, and in doing so we can get some other things back to our boards. You saw how we did this, and if I wanted to, I could also send a guy to one of these ideas, and I could take the action printed over here, or I could remove my guy, bring him back, take the action printed over here. And then finally, presenting an idea is very simple. You basically have to take the idea, put it into an empty spot. When you do that, you then put either 1 or 2 people in, or advisors matching the idea type in that spot, and do whatever the action is on there. So as you can tell, there are a lot of main actions going to another main action, going to another main action, going to another main action, and that is the crux of this game, figuring out how to take multiple actions every turn instead of just one action every turn, and being in the right place at the right time to play into the bot's strategy so that when he does something, either you're blocking him from doing it or you're benefiting somehow from him from doing it. So I didn't cover everything, but I think you got a pretty good idea of the complexity and the decision space of this type of game. All right, let me tell you what I think about it. Okay, so as you can tell, this is a very heavy game with an awful lot of chaining actions and an awful lot of complexity. No doubt about it. You have to understand, if you're going to play this game, do I like to play a game where I try to make every turn count even more? And it's not just about taking the right action at the right time. It's about taking the right series of actions at the right time. This one that could chain into this, that could chain into this. Making sure I have enough influence to have enough chains so that I can do multiple full actions on my turn. Making sure that I do the right ones at the right time to block the bot, and also to take advantage of the bot when they're about to do maybe an idea share or something like that. I want to glob into that. And there's just a ton of that richness and goodness here, and I really like that about this game. This is a tactical game. It is not a strategic game, so to speak. What I mean by that is you cannot try one strategy in this game, then one strategy in this game, then a different strategy in this game. You can't do that because it's all about the board. It's all about the presence of what's going on. It's about what the bot's doing, what you have access to, the rewards you have, the influence you have, the chains you have, all that stuff. It's all very tactical. So this entire game is based on the here and now. And every time you sit down, it's not like you can flavor one thing or another. You're going to just try to do the best game possible. And I love that. I love the challenge here of being able to explore a game and get better at it. And the more you understand, the more you understand the learning curve of, or I should say the victory curve, so to speak, to be able to be competitive with the bot. The bot has been clobbering me, okay? But I know it's not a cheating bot. It's the fact that I'm not getting enough points, enough distance out of my actions. And I know that I can get better because the strategies, or I should say the tactics emerge so I can see it and understand, oh, that's a whole different thing I didn't think about. That's really good. If I do this, I can also get this action and this full action and this full action. I can get 2 to 3 actions out of this turn instead of 1. Or I can get some really choice actions that I kind of get an idea what he's going to probably do. I know exactly what the Chronos bot's going to do. So there's some predictability there. And the Hephaestus bot, you know, based on the board, I can kind of see, well, he's going to go to this next spot if at all possible. What's he going to try to do there? You know, so there's a little bit of that understanding, which means it's not a random bot, but you can't be sure what Hephaestus is going to do. And how you play and how you consider that, it all rolls into a very delicious decision space, which I find fascinating. So I think Lacerda fans who like heavy games and like lots of choices and lots of interlocking mechanisms and stuff like that will be right at home in this. I think if you're looking for a game, though, that has a bunch of different avenues you can try from a strategy standpoint, you're going to be a little disappointed because you can't focus in one area or another and try different things. This isn't a game, this is not an engine building game per se, where I'm gonna build these things and do these things, it's gonna be better. There are small parts of that. One thing I didn't show you is when you build inventions, you can later use those inventions to chain some of the actions depending on what you take, but that's still more of the same tactical briefcase, so to speak. It's not like you're going to be doing something where you're converting resources more efficiently over here or doing that over here or whatever. It's all about this idea of the tactics, which I think sometimes tactical games are just okay, or they turn into point salads. I don't feel like that here. I feel like here, every turn is a delicious opportunity for an amazing move, and that is sweet. If you're looking for that, if you are excited about that, if you're not excited about that, if you get AP on that, or you're like, oh my gosh, that just melts my brain, that's way too much for me to want to do when I sit down and play games, then you want to avoid this game. And it's also quite expensive. And so you want to know yourself before, and your gaming preferences, before you shell out the money to get this. Now, I don't think it's overproduced. I think that the amount of game in here is worth the money, but it's only worth the money if you like that sort of thing, of course. So be very prudent, I would say, on whether this is a game for you or not. Now, the other thing I will say is I did not find this game to be frustrating in its experience. And sometimes heavy games can be frustrating. Sometimes You want to do all these things, but you can't do half the things because you're constrained. You don't have this, or you don't have that, or you don't have this resource, you don't have that option. There is some blocking in this game from the pillars where you're blocking yourself, but you have so many other actions you can take that never once did I feel like, I just can't do what I want to do. That's not this kind of game. What this game provides you is lots of avenues to do. And what you're trying to do is find out which one is the one that takes you the distance, the longest distance, that you get the most done on your turn. You don't have a ton of turns, but you do have a ton of actions you can pack in, so your turns can double or triple, or you can, up to 4, like you could literally do 4 different things in the same turn, 4 full actions. If you were able to find out how to chain everything perfectly, that they give you 3 chains plus your main action. And then sometimes the main action comes with a bonus action, which is another main action that doesn't even need a chain. So there's just so much to explore there. But I really do appreciate the fact that it does not feel like I am living hand to mouth in this game, where I'm always constrained, where I want to do something, but I don't have the ability to do it. This is not that kind of game, which is nice because there's so much going on here. I love games with angst, but this one, it's a different type of thing. It's not an angst of I don't have the resources, or I need to work 3 turns to be able to set myself up for this other thing. Some of that you have to do to get, there's a little bit of constraints in blocking and where your advisors are, but that's pretty minor. Usually you have plenty you can do. You're just trying to figure out what the best thing is to do. So I like that a lot. I think the bot is very competitive. The bot's very easy to control. The Chronos bot is like I said, he's very methodical and predictable. You know what he's going to do. The Hephaestus bot, you sort of know what he's going to do, kind of, but not really, because anything could show up on that card for his preference. But you know what he can't do. You know what he's already blocked himself in doing, and you know where his position is. So you get like a feel, an idea, and that's exactly what it would be like to play against someone else. You would kind of know, all right, based on the board state, this is what they can do or can't do. So do I get in on the action before they do what they're going to do and benefit from that? And that's the subtleties I think is very exciting and rewarding to explore. And although I know it, I haven't even gotten close to bringing that into my tactical toolbox yet. So I'm very much looking forward to doing that. Very much looking forward to spending a lot of time with this game. I want to memorize all of the steps. I want to memorize the bot actions so that I can just whip through it and really kind of focus and get an understanding of how to really master this game. So it's been a delight to play thus far. I really highly recommend it if you like this sort of game. If you don't, there is going to be not so much middle ground. I think this is going to melt some people down, so be careful. Either way, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Whatever you decide to do in the future, I really hope you have a fantastic time doing it. Take it easy, everybody.